We did something radical, something that might sound unthinkable. We burned down our entire Level 3 certification program and we started again. Why? Because coach education is broken and we knew we could do better. Coach education has become a meaningless checkbox exercise. But what if I told you there's a better way? A way that's been years in the making. Hi, my name's Craig Massey, Head of Education for the PFCA. Over the last few years, I've been deeply ingrained, deeply involved with not only our education system, but coaches' education as a whole. I've seen the good and the bad, and the outcome of that has been our work towards, over the last little while, providing what is now going to be the CPT, the PFCA Certified Personal Training course. And today we're going to talk through its inception, why it came about, the work involved in getting there, and then what this thing looks like and what you will receive on the other side. So, I had a script that I was going to follow, I had some guidelines, but I think it's just best for me to talk from the heart and just tell you the story here around this whole thing. So, I hope I don't bore you too much and I hope I get to the point. It kicked off probably around 2 years ago when we were invited to a meeting at CIMSPA. The head of CIMSPA invited us to sit around the table because they recognised that there were changes required in the coaching education space, specifically around this Level 2 and Level 3 diploma, as they recognised that what sat within it and the requirements that are currently tabled aren't necessarily doing the job that they intend. So there was work to be done. And so we sat around the table, we had some great conversations. We discussed the current challenges. We discussed the fact that the current qualification can be somewhat abstract in nature. And by that, what we mean is it tends to be a collection of facts, a collection of knowledge that's given that doesn't necessarily connect together to provide a systemized way of coaching for the student out the other end. And the outcome of that was a lot of students, so new coaches, that were finding the gym floor on day one and still none the wiser as to what they should be doing and how they can actually put that knowledge into practice. So the qualification as it currently stands was not very useful. We had great discussions around how these things can change and what we felt could be better. At this time, we were a few years into delivering our version of the Level 3, and we explained how, on top of the current tick box information that we need to provide for that CIMSPA qualification for the student, we then offer 30 hours of higher sort of order conversation, communication, lectures really, that do connect the dots and do help the coach sort through what is important and what is not from the information that they've learned, and then better arm them to put that into practice. But still not ideal. They still had to learn this stuff, and there was still then the confusion between the necessary things to tick the box and the things that were really going to help them in their coaching practice. So we went back to CIMSPA and we said, look, how about we redo the whole thing? The challenge was the red tape, the accreditation procedure for the whole thing to be shifted. It's a massive shift, and it's probably going to take a number of years for the industry to catch up. But what they did suggest is that we go ahead and do it ourselves based on our current reputation, based on our performance as educators in the course that we've delivered to date. They backed us, they trusted us to go and make our own thing. And so that's what this is. It's our own attempt to create the starting course for you as the coach at the start of your journey. Key things that sit within it. We were clear that this couldn't be a standalone course. And what we mean by that, we didn't want this to be literally just a tick box exercise, as I've mentioned earlier, where you get through it and then forget everything that's in it and almost start learning differently on the job. We wanted what sat within it to be of use and to continue to support you and create a foundation really for the rest of your career. That was really important to us. And so that sort of shaped our thought process around what went in it, what is necessary. We were in a great position to be able to decide that based on the education that we delivered to that point within those 30 hours, the content of that 30 hours that we laid on top of the government standard had evolved over time. We continued to refine it. So it had got to the place where we were really happy with what sat within that. And as I said, it was purely the additional confusion with what was being taught here and what we were teaching that was causing the problem. So then what CPT became quite quickly as far as a skeleton of a plan was concerned was the 30 hours plus then some structure around how that would be learned and how that would be delivered in order to replace that government online system. And that's what we did. We've written the book, we've written a textbook, it's over 200 pages. It's basically going to be a guide, and we see that as the reference point for the coach for, the rest of their, as we call it, their apprenticeship. And we see that apprenticeship being the time beyond level 3 and level 2, so the certified personal training course, where coaches start to get experience. And that experience for us is anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 hours of in-person coaching. That's where you're going to get a great understanding of all the things that you've learned. So how do we pull this thing together? We took that skeleton, we took that plan, and we started creating structure and packing out the course in order for it to tell a story of the coaching practice. So rather than the abstract nature of what went before, as in the anatomy and physiology, so here's the heart and here's how it operates, these are the bones and these are the muscles, and here's some stuff about nutrition, and then here's some stuff about some exercises that you might use, and this is how you onboard a client, and so on and so forth. And you're left thinking, how on earth do I pull all these things together? We've created structure that tells the story of the whole process from the start, where we create a reflection process for you. Why are you here? Why does this matter? Why do you want this to be a career? What would you like your career to look like? What do you stand for in fitness? What do you believe in fitness? What are your values? What are your beliefs? Etc, etc, etc. All this good stuff that is rushed past in most fitness practices, but we believe creates the basis of a successful career. Because without this, we can't define success. We don't know where we're heading, and so we just set off in any direction. And that's where people get lost. And as the stats tell us today, not many people make it beyond 12 months. We want the PFCA coach to have a career that spans a lifetime, a full, proper career. As it used to be, we want to bring that thing back. As we mentioned in our prospectus, our mission is to upgrade the respect, status, and career, long-term career for the fitness coach, and it all starts in the CPT. So we start with that reflection process. So it's an introspective look within to see why we're here. So give our heads a wobble really and think about, what is it that we're doing? Because then the next step is then how do you meet the client, and what is that encounter, and why is that particularly important? As we know, many coaches today just pay that process lip service. It's their onboarding process. So yes, they might have a script that brings them in, they might have a sales pitch, etc, etc. But where does that information go? Now, intentions, I would say, generally are sound there. The missing piece is what to do with the information. And so, rather than the information that we gather from that process just going into a file and sitting on the shelf for the rest of time, we need to, and this is what we teach the coaches, we need to take that information and feed it into the process, because that's the good stuff. These are the pieces of information that enable you to immerse yourself in the client's world so that you can be of use to them, so you can upgrade the client outcomes. That's the key. That's the definition of success. You're trying to upgrade the client outcomes. And so the necessary piece that most people miss, or most coaches miss, is that integration piece, taking the information and then figuring out how that feeds into the actual process, the action, the coaching practice. From there then, we build the whole thing out. We go into nurture, as we call it, and that's the side of the coin that feeds into the physical expression. It's all things nutrition and behavior change. Again, super important, but often gets overlooked or paid lip service. All that stuff is where the client recovers. So that's where the adaptation's going to come. That's where they're going to grow and evolve. That's where they're going to progress. So without understanding the nurture side of things, we're going to be finding it difficult to maximize what we get in that expression side of things. So that comes next. Before then, we get stuck into the nitty-gritty of what everybody has come for, the program design. So we learn how to assess, we learn how to movement screen, we learn what to do with that information, okay? And then we learn how to feed all that into what will be a program design. And this is the key, right? And this is what I'm just working through with the current cohort of CPT at the moment, where in weeks 8 and 9, we do all the practicals around your program design. So we literally write programs together, we do case studies, we table potential clients, potential problems, challenges, etc. And we discuss how we might think and the actions that we might take as coaches. So it's very practical in nature, so that when you get beyond week 10, which is the business module as to how you set this thing up, what your business is going to look like, how you're going to onboard your first few clients, how you get to your first sort of 5K of income, etc., etc. Once you've finished, you're confident and you have clarity around what your role is and then how you're going to get started. All the while, it being clear that this is just the start. So we don't expect you, and you shouldn't expect also, to have this thing all figured out off the back of your CPT. Rather, what this is, it's a basis of information that you can continue to build on. And the first build for you will be gaining experience, where you're going to get things wrong, you're going to trip over a few things. Not catastrophically, of course, because your intentions are good, but just enough so that you can see that refinement is needed. And that's where you're going to go back in, refine that thing, and that's where you're going to learn and grow in an iterative nature over time, just like your clients. So, CPT stemmed from a general lack in the industry, a missing piece really. So when you look at the stat that the majority, so we're talking 80+% of coaches don't make it past year 1, you have to look at this introductory education as a failing piece. It must be. And so this is where we feel it needs to be better, and this is our best attempt at doing so. It's our best attempt built on all of our experience. We're coaches, we still coach, we still live and breathe this thing. So we're not just educators delivering a fixed piece. We talk on experience, we can give you real life application. It means an awful lot to us. This is our payback, this is our contribution to the industry. And we're dead proud of it. So, if you're looking for a solid start in this industry, I'll back this and say it's the best. CPT. Join the program, get clarity, get confidence, create the foundation for what will be a successful career for a lifetime for you.